For most Canadians, a car is the second most expensive purchase they'll ever make, right after a home. And yet most people spend more time researching which trim level to get than thinking through the financial decision underneath it. New or used, finance or cash, lease or buy. Each of these choices has a right answer, not for everyone, but for your specific situation. And there's one number most people completely ignore that changes everything. Let's go through it. Most people think about a car purchase in terms of the monthly payment. Can I afford $600 a month? That question is almost useless for making a good financial decision. The number that actually matters is total cost of ownership. Everything you'll spend on the vehicle over the time you own it. That includes the purchase price or lease payments, insurance, fuel, maintenance, repairs, licensing and registration, and depreciation, the value the car loses over time. Depreciation is the biggest cost most people never think about. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot, and another 10 to 15% each year for the first few years. On a $50,000 vehicle, that's $10,000 gone in the first year before you've paid $1 in insurance or gas. When you frame a car decision around total cost of ownership rather than monthly payment, the right choices become much clearer. From a pure financial standpoint, buying a used car that is 2 to 4 years old is almost always the better decision than buying new. Here's why. The original owner absorbs the steepest part of the depreciation curve, that 20% first-year drop plus the heavy depreciation of years 2 and 3. By the time you buy a 3-year-old vehicle, the value has already stabilized and you're paying something much closer to what the car is actually worth as a depreciating asset. A 3-year-old Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V with 40,000 kilometers on it costs roughly 35 to 45% less than the same vehicle brand new. But it has the majority of its useful life still ahead of it. The reliability difference between a new car and a well-maintained 3-year-old car is minimal for most mainstream brands. The counter-argument for new is the manufacturer warranty, lower financing rates sometimes available on new vehicles, and the psychological value of knowing the full history of the car. These are real considerations, but for most financially conscious Canadians, a certified pre-owned vehicle 2 to 4 years old hits the sweet spot of value, reliability, and cost. If you have the cash to buy a car outright, the financial case for doing so is strong. You pay no interest, you own the asset immediately, and your monthly cash flow is better going forward. The opportunity cost, what that money could have earned invested, is worth considering, but car loan interest rates in Canada typically run 6 to 9% right now, which is competitive with or higher than the after-tax return on conservative investments. If you need to finance, a shorter loan term at the lowest available rate on a used vehicle is the disciplined approach. Stretching a car loan to 84 months, 7 years, to lower the monthly payment is a trap. You'll almost certainly be underwater on the loan before it's paid off, meaning you owe more than the car is worth. Keep financing terms to 48 to 60 months maximum. Leasing is the most expensive way to use a car for most people. Full stop. When you lease, you're essentially renting the vehicle and paying for the depreciation during the lease period, plus financing charges, plus profit margin for the dealer. At the end of the lease, you own nothing and start over. The monthly payment looks attractive because you're comparing it to buying a much more expensive vehicle, but you are permanently in a payment and permanently building no equity. Leasing makes financial sense in one specific situation. If you are self-employed or own a corporation and can deduct the lease payments as a business expense. As mentioned in a previous video, the tax treatment changes the math significantly in that context. Here's the framework. Think in total cost of ownership, not monthly payment. Buy used over new when possible. 2 to 4 years old hits the value sweet spot. Pay cash if you can, finance short-term if you can't, and avoid leasing unless you have a legitimate business deduction. The car you drive is one of the biggest influences on your monthly cash flow and long-term wealth. A financially savvy car decision frees up hundreds of dollars a month that can go into your TFSA instead of the dealership's pocket. Next week, we're covering credit scores in Canada, how they are actually calculated, what moves the needle, and the one thing most Canadians do that silently damages their score without realizing it. Subscribe and I'll see you there. See you then.